Welcome to Let's Talk with Tara, the space where real life meets real answers. I am Dr. Tara T. Stallings, counselor and coach, here to help you navigate life's toughest challenges. Together, we'll explore psychological insights, emotional healing, relational growth, and biblical truths to empower your journey. So grab a seat, lean in, and let's have the conversations that matter the most. Great day, everyone. Great day. Wow, we are in August already. We are over half of the year gone. Today, I want to share with you just some words of wisdom about communication. If you've been following me, watching my reels, watching my TikToks, I talk about a plethora of subjects, and one of them is communication, being careful what you say, how you say it. So today I want to share a little bit with you about the art of effective communication. Say what you mean without losing who you are. You can be who you are. Everyone has their own style of speaking, their own personality, um, and their own tone. And just understanding that you can be who you are, say what you mean what you say without losing or feeling like you're not being genuine. So, are you truly being heard, or are you just speaking to be understood? And most people are speaking to be understood. So, let's talk about communication a little bit. Communication, um, when we talk about communication is a skill, not a gift. It's a skill and not a gift. So, as we talk about communication, being a good communicator isn't about being loud or extroverted. It's about being intentional, honest, and clear. Intentional, honest, and clear. So let me give you a little bit. I'm gonna give you some scenarios, but many of us we learn how to yell, we learn how to shut down, manipulate to get our needs met, but we never learn how to communicate with maturity and clarity. And then you end up frustrated, saying things, you don't understand me. You just don't get me. Those are some of the things that I hear. But it's just about having effective communication. So imagine this, asking your partner for support, and they never seem to get it. If you're married, if you're in a relationship, if you're a family member, and you feel ignored, you feel attacked, or they feel attacked because you're communicating with them out of frustration and not direction. Out of frustration, but not out of direction. So a lot of times when most people communicate, they're communicating after they've had conversations with themselves in their head, and they become frustrated. So their frustration is coming out in their body language, in their tone, in their words, and the person that they're speaking to, they feel attacked. So, just like anyone else, any normal human, when you feel attacked, you either fight, freeze, or flee. Those are the things that we do. Those are our response mechanisms. So, how do you combat that? You use words like I feel. Most of the time we'll say, well, you never do this or you never do that. And it's you. And that's defensive. That's attacking. So a practical tip is to use the words I feel when you do something. I feel. So it's taking the pointing of the finger off of the person or attacking them, and is sharing with them how you feel. It's your feelings and not, well, what you did wrong. And that's usually how the tone comes out. I feel unsupported when you interrupt me, or I feel unsupported when you don't do, uh, something in when you don't feel supported by that partner. So effective communication is important. It's important. We have to be mindful when we speak to people that we speak to them from our feelings and not what they did or did not do. I'm going to say that again. You speak to a person effectively from your perspective, your feelings, and not what they did or did not do. Okay? So tone and timing equals impact. Now, my mom used to say this. It's not what you say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I'm going to say that again. It is not what you say, it's how, and not just how you say it, when you say it. So you have to be mindful that you can be right and still be offensive. You can be right and still come off as offensive and be offensive. You can have truth and still have a hurtful tone. So you have to be mindful. Your tone and the timing that you speak to a person equals the impact of that conversation. So you never communicate. I always share with my clients this: never communicate sensitive heart issues when you're hungry, because when I become hungry, I'm hangry. And a lot of people are that way. You don't communicate when you're hungry, you don't communicate when you're angry, you don't communicate it when you're tired or distracted. We call it the HALT rule: hungry, angry, tired, or distracted. You want to schedule communication times, because think about this. And I want you to think about, when you talk about communication, when you communicate with a person, you communicate with every cultural experience, every family experience, everything that they learn, all their negative and positive experience. You will communicate with them as a whole person. So they bring that whole person into the communication. So if you have a person that feels attacked all the time, or feel like you attack them, you want to schedule communication at a time that's going to be conducive, so that you and the person that you want to communicate with, that they can listen and listen properly. They're in the mindset to listen, and they want to listen. You have to be very careful of that, because so often, and I know we've seen those commercials when the wife wants to communicate with the husband during a football or basketball game. That is not the right time to communicate with someone. And then the wife says, well, and I'm just using this for an example. I'm just using it for an example. And the wife says, you care more about that television, that football, or that basketball, or baseball, or whatever it is, more than you care about me. No, that's not true. It's a time that you need to set to communicate with a person, whether that's a spouse, whether that's a parent. You have to find the right time and the tone to do that. You cannot do it when you're frustrated. You cannot do it when you've already come. A lot of times what people do is they have these conversations with the person in their head. And when they go to have a conversation with them, they have all these assumptions, or you assume what they're going to say. So you not listening, you go into the conversation already on the defense, instead of going in the conversation being neutral, having a clear mind, having a positive outcome, so that you both can be heard and understood. heard and understood. So let me talk about, and I'm not going to be on long this morning. I know I usually come on at 12 o'clock, but I just let me go on live now. Let me just come on now. So you want to listen to understand and not to defend. So this is my people, because usually what we do when you're having a conversation with someone, you are already formulating an answer in your mind. You're not listening clearly to what the person is saying, or defense, and you are so ready to give an answer to what they say instead of listening effectively. We call it being an active. So what our active listener does, they're not listening to defend themselves. They're listening to hear the emotions and the feelings and the concern of the other person from a defense, from so they can really hear what they're saying and able to give an answer. And sometimes you can't give an answer then. Sometimes you need to process it instead of you just rolling off an answer. Most of the time, what people do is the person is communication. One person is communicating one thing, and before they can finish their sentence, giving out an answer. That's not being a good listener at all. That's just being a responder. And communication is not about just responding. It's about listening and hearing from the other person's perspective. The other person's perspective. Most people listen with the intent to respond and not to understand. If your response is defensive instead of mirroring, you're not building a connection, you are building a wall. And most people build a wall. And that's why they say, oh, I just can't talk to so-and-so because they don't understand. We always argue. Well, think about those things. Think about, are you attacking the person? Or is the timing right? What about your tone? Are you being offensive? Are you being an active listener? Are you being an active listener? All of those things are important when we talk about uh, effective communication, saying what you mean without losing who you are. My natural personality, I am passionate. So when I'm passionate about something, my tone is loud. I'm loud in country. It's okay. Been that way all my life. My mama was loud in country. I'm from the country. So I'm loud, and I'm not loud because I'm angry. But a lot of times when people hear when you get loud, they think, "Oh, you're angry." No, I'm passionate. So whenever I'm passionate about something, my tone, and that passion can be a positive passion or a negative passion. My tone is loud. I have a loud, carrying voice. Anyway, so it can come off offensive because my tone is loud. My tone is loud. So that's why when you communicate with a person, you have to know, okay, they're loud, but they're not being offensive. They're not trying to be aggressive. They're just passionate about something. So you have to bring all of those things into consideration when you speak to a person. When you speak to a person. So another thing is when we talk about being an active listener, step one is to listen fully. When a person is talking, don't you start formulating an answer in your head. You just sit there and you listen. And you say to yourself, well, I heard them say this. I hear them saying this. I hear them saying this. Yes, I am loud and country, Angela. And repeat what you heard. This is so important. Repeat when you are listening to someone and someone is communicating something to you. You repeat what you heard, because what you heard may not be what that person said. Perception is everything. What you heard them say may not be what they said. That's why you repeat. You say, hey, well, this is what I heard you say. You repeat it so that what you're hearing, what they're saying, you want to make sure what you heard is on that what they said and what you heard is the same thing. So you always ask them, hey, this is what I heard you say. Or are you saying this right here? And then it gives them a chance to validate, yes, I'm saying that, or no, I'm not saying, I'm saying this. So maybe they can say it a different way so that you can get clear understanding. Then you share your perspective of what they said. You share your perspective. You don't disregard what a person says or how they feel. You share your perspective. And sometimes you have to learn to agree to disagree. And that's okay. That is okay. But you never want to disregard when a person tells you, hey, this is how they feel. You can't tell them. Most of the time I hear people say, well, you shouldn't feel that way. You can't tell a person how to feel. You just cannot tell a person how they should feel because it's their feelings. Whether they are valid or not, it's valid to them. So you try to reassure them, hey, this is not how I was trying to make you feel intentionally. And I'm sorry that you feel that way. This is what my intent was. And this is a part of effective communication. And the last talking point that I want to share with you before I go is a spirit-led communication. Now, most of you guys know that I'm a believer in Jesus. Yeah, I am. I'm a believer. So I'm speaking to you from a word-based, spirit-led person. The Spirit of God. Now, I gotta say that nowadays because I'm not being led by the Spirit, Holy Spirit. I gotta say that. So you have to ask yourself, when you talk about effective communication, is what you're talking about, is it loving? Is it necessary? And is it healing? Is it loving? Timing, tone? Is it loving? Is it necessary? Or is it healing? And when we talk about loving, I want you guys to go back. What is love? Because a lot of times you have conversations saying I'm being loving, but you're not having a platform to make that person be accountable. Because loving sometimes means I need to correct you when you're wrong. But you can correct someone when they're wrong in a loving tone and a loving manner so that they don't become offended. Let Holy Spirit lead you with your mouth and not be led with your feet. Because when we get frustrated now, and I'm still guilty of this, I'm not just trying to say I'm perfect, because when sometimes situations, especially that's when I'm angry, I'm hungry, and I'm tired. Sometimes I'm not being led by the Spirit, I'm being led by my feet and I'm running right into it. That's not the way to communicate. You need to step back and communicate effectively. Being led by the Spirit, taking a second to breathe and ask, hey, how do I communicate this effectively so that they can hear what I'm saying and we can come to a resolve. And I'm going to give you a couple of scriptures before I go. I didn't want to be on long this morning. Proverbs 15:1 says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stir up anger. And I'm going to give you a quick example of this. Have you ever gone, and Burger King and McDonald's are good at this. When you're going through the drive-thru in the morning or in the afternoon, and the person that's working the drive-thru, they are so nasty. They have such a nasty tone. Can I take your order? And you like, well, or yes. You know how they can be really nasty. Well, the word says a gentle answer turns away wrath, but harsh words can stir up anger. So sometimes when people come off hard to you, you have to turn that and be gentle. And sometimes, especially at those fast food restaurants, when they come in and they're nasty, you say, well, you know what? I hope you're having a good day today. Thank you so much. And guess what? It turns their whole tone. Because a lot of times they're not attacking you. They got personal things that they're going through. They might be having a bad day at home, relationships, family, anything. You never know. So you can turn that situation around just having gentle words. Don't take it offense and just turn it around. Just turn it around. James 1:19 also says, Oh, I love this one. I love this. I love this. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And what we do, we get quick to anger, quick to speak, and slow to listen. We got it in reverse. So James 1 says, be quick to listen. 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 Slow with your responses. You don't always have to have a response. Everything does not need a response. And be even slower in your anger. Be mindful. Don't take everything personal. Sometimes if you just sit back and kind of process what a person says, then you can hear it from a different perspective and then give an answer that's not going to promote anger, but it will promote peace and also understanding and effective communication without losing who you are. Without losing who you are. My favorite quote by William Shakespeare, and this is part of my motto, is to thy own self be true. I am true to me. You either gonna love me or you gonna hate me. To be honest with you, I don't care either one, because I'm not gonna be for everyone. And once I learn who I am, my assignment, and being okay with who I am as a person. Now, mind you, I'm a rock that I had to and I use that illustration with my personality. I was like a sharp rock that at one time when you walk by, I would cut you. But now I've smoothed a lot of my edges. I still got some rough edges around them. I'm not saying that it's a couple pieces that stick out every now and then. That smooth rock that most people want, like those rocks at the beach, you want to pick them up and take them and put them on your mantelpiece. I try to be that person, but I'm my core of who I am, my personality. I'm that rock. I'm a strong person. I have a strong personality. So my final words for you today is, listen, when we talk about the art of effective communication, you can say what you mean without losing who you are. You can have healing without honesty. You can't have healing without honesty, growth without guidance, and peace without progress. Speak truth, set boundaries, and let God lead every conversation. Let God lead every conversation. And if you don't have God, just ask him into your life. That's it. Ask him into your life. Listen, you guys, I'll see you next week. I thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and share and like this live. Make sure you follow me on TikTok at Let's Talk Tara. You can find my name on there. I would love to see you in that social media platform as I post, and I'll be going live on there soon. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk with Tara. If you found today's conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Let's keep this dialogue going. Follow me on Let's Talk Tara for more insights and encouragement. Remember, every step forward starts with an honest conversation. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and keep talking.